Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology.
Good morning to one and all. I'm Dr. Sonia Jennifer Ryan, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Satyabama Institute of Science and Technology. Today's session is going to be on social network analysis. It will be like a continuation of the last session on social network analysis. However, in the last video, we saw about what is semantic web, why is it important, and what is RDF with all this. So today's session is basically going to be like interpreting social data. So why should this data be interpreted, or how is it going to help us? So why is this social network analysis playing a very important role? Again, just a quick overview. So what is the semantic web? Extension of the World Wide Web, which is going to give us some meaningful information about what we want to extract. So what we search, we are going to get the appropriate data. Okay, so generally any network or web is going to be represented using a graph. What does a graph basically contain? Set of vertices and edges. What are these vertices? Vertices are nothing but the nodes that are being present. Okay, the connection between these nodes actually form the edges. Let me assume I have two nodes A and B. The edge is the line which is connecting A and B. Okay. If there is going to be a connection between A and B, my value becomes 1. If there is no connection, my value is going to become 0. So this is the same concept as of the adjacency matrix in case of data structures. Again, so this is what it says. So my matrix, 1 will sell if there's a connection between vertex I and vertex G. If there is no connection, it is going to become 0. So, actually, while analyzing it, the American psychologist Mr. Milgram had already represented how we are going to interpret our network. Basically, we have David, Cecil, Anna, and Bill. This is a network diagram which we are going to use. These nodes are being represented in the form of a graph. Okay, so Cecil becomes V3, David becomes V4, Anna becomes V1, and Bill becomes V2. So these are my nodes, and the lines connecting them will be my edges. So I'm trying to draw an adjacency matrix. How is this adjacency matrix drawn? So what are my vertices? V1, V2, V3, V4. V1, V2, V3, V4. So generally there will not be a connection from V1 to V1 itself, the node to itself. It will occur only in case if there is a cycle. So mostly the elements along the diagonal will be 0. So from V1 to V1, no connection. From V1 to V2, there's a connection. So this becomes 1. V1 to V3, the connection is there. So it becomes 1. However, there is no connection between V1 to V4. So it remains 0. Similarly, it is done for the other vertices also. V2, V3 and V4 as well. So, okay, now what do we basically do? We try finding the shortest distance. Why do you need to find the shortest distance? Imagine a network is there. I want to reduce the overall traffic. When there's a short way of me transferring the packet, why would I want to choose the longest path? There's something called as the geodisk distance. The minimum distance between the vertices is called as the geodisk distance. Imagine a circle. What becomes the shortest distance? The radius. If radius is the shortest distance, what would be the longest distance? The perimeter of the circle. The same graph is being represented using a lattice structure. The adjacency matrix. Vertex 0, 0 is like the I and the J. 0th row, first column. 0th row, the second column. That is how it is being done. How do we generally analyze it? There are some basic terms which we generally have to know. The degree of centrality. Okay, let me assume I am the central node. All data are going to have to pass through me. So the degree of centrality of my node will become more when compared to the nodes in the corner or the peripheral nodes. And when I come to the closeness centrality, it is like you calculate the average distance of all the nodes in the network. Coming back to the degree of centrality, as I said, if it's going to be in the center and when there are more incoming nodes to that particular point. Betweenness centrality is nothing but the bridges that are being connecting the nodes. The more number of bridges, it means it is becoming a more influential node. Closeness centrality indicates how that particular node is interacting with all other nodes in the network. So, eigenvector centrality is nothing but the influence of a node in a particular network. Clustering coefficient measures the degree to which how these nodes are being connected to each other. High clustering means, that they are tightly knit network. Possibility of it becoming a over congested or a traffic network. Yes, what are central nodes? Again, the between a centrality, the nodes in the center becomes the central nodes. Okay, the peripheral nodes. Imagine a family photo who we place them in the center, the eldest or the important people. The other ones will be on the corners or in the peripherals. And then the clusters or community, how closely they are being connected or the groups which are being formed. The bridging nodes, as I just told, how the interconnection between the nodes. So, in a social network, why do we need to know this? It helps us analyze a structure. Just imagine an Instagram or a LinkedIn where we go for a particular page, it goes on from one node to the next page. The friend of friend, you get requests. All this is based on this social network analysis. Same thing happens in case of the communication network, the LANs or the WANs in our system. Okay, so why do we basically understand this social network structure? It helps me identify the individual roles. So, what role do we play in that particular system or in a network? Second, it helps me identify the dynamics, as in, am I going to be the central one, or am I going to be the bridge, or am I going to be the peripheral one? It helps me analyze that. What are my applications? So it helps me identify whether the influence, next the community detection, the support networks and the organizational studies, the connectivity on the whole. Okay, the last one, social network analysis can also be used to understand the customer relationship. Step 1, identifying the key influence or the central nodes. Next, detecting the communities, the clusters. The third one, okay, on what basis are they being identified? This common thing, milk basket analysis. If a person buys milk, there's an equal probability that he will surely buy bread. And there's an equal probability if he buys these two, he'll buy a butter or egg. This is your milk basket analysis. So I'm identifying the hidden pattern. So by doing this, what I will do is in the market, place all these things next to each other. And then I'm going to enhance the customer service. So this is where the social network analysis plays an important role. Thank you.